Society tells a brutal, unforgiving lie about betrayal. When someone you love cheats, we are immediately conditioned to stand in front of the mirror and tear ourselves apart. We agonizingly ask, was I not attractive enough? Was I not exciting enough? Where exactly did I fall short? Welcome back to the Psychology Guy. I am here to tell you that everything you have been taught about infidelity is fundamentally wrong. Neuroscience and clinical psychology reveal a chilling truth that most people are terrified to admit. Their betrayal has absolutely nothing to do with your value. You were never the problem. What you experienced was simply the collateral damage of a highly structured, internal psychological collapse happening inside their own mind. How do they look you in the eyes, promise you forever, and then secretly text someone else without exploding from the guilt? How do they sleep so peacefully at night? Stick with me until the end of this video, because I am going to expose a deeply hidden mental mechanism called the two-box system. It is the exact psychological trick cheaters use to literally wipe their conscience clean. Once you see this system, the grand illusion will shatter, and you will finally stop taking their actions personally. If you are ready to uncover the truth and take your mind back, please hit that subscribe button right now to support the channel, so I can keep bringing you the deep, honest psychological insights you deserve. To truly grasp the magnitude of that internal collapse, we have to first validate the absolute madness of what you actually witnessed. From the outside looking in, the behavior of a cheater defies every basic law of human logic and empathy. You sit there, replaying the memories in your head, entirely consumed by the sheer insanity of the situation. How is it humanly possible for someone to look you dead in the eyes, pull you close, make passionate plans for a shared future, and in the exact same breath, secretly text someone else beneath the dinner table? It feels like you were living with a phantom. You cannot help but wonder how they do not simply implode from the crushing weight of the deception, or how they manage to divide their soul in half and still sleep soundly right next to you. Today, we are going to perform a clinical psychological autopsy on the mind of a betrayer to answer exactly that. We are going to surgically dissect the architecture of their deceit. As we move through this breakdown, I am going to reveal a highly specific mental framework, a disturbing compartmentalization strategy that allows them to completely rewrite reality and sanitize their own guilt. I want you to pay close attention to this mechanism, because once you see the rigid, mechanical way they protect their ego, their hollow excuses will never hold power over you again. You will finally realize that you were never dealing with a complex mystery of the heart, but rather a predictable, broken pattern of the mind. To understand exactly how this broken pattern operates, we have to look at the very genesis of the betrayal, long before any physical boundary is ever crossed. Cheating almost never starts in a dimly lit hotel room, a sudden moment of weakness, or a passionate mistake after a few too many drinks. It starts months, sometimes years earlier, in the quiet, invisible, and deeply isolated corners of their own mind, right exactly where they learn how to divide their soul in half. I want you to picture a deeply unsettling but incredibly common scenario. Imagine them sitting on the couch right next to you on a random Tuesday evening. You are watching a movie, feeling safe, feeling like everything is completely normal between you two. But right there, just inches away from you, a quiet, insidious narrative is beginning to take root in their head. They look at you, then look down at their phone, and a subtle, dangerous thought creeps in. They start telling themselves that they have sacrificed so much for this relationship, that they are constantly stressed, or that maybe you do not truly understand them anymore. They begin whispering a lie to their own conscience, convincing themselves that the relationship is basically over in spirit anyway, and because they have given so much, they inherently deserve just a little bit of innocent fun for themselves. This exact moment is where the psychological friction begins to burn. Human beings are fundamentally driven by a deep need to view themselves as good moral people. So, when their internal compass points to the belief that they are a good, honest person, but their daily reality becomes secretly flirting with a coworker and deleting messages before walking through the front door, the brain goes into a state of absolute panic. Psychology refers to this agonizing mental clash as cognitive dissonance. It is a form of psychological suffocation. To survive this unbearable tension, Without completely drowning in their own guilt, a cheater does something terrifying. A healthy person would look at that dissonance, feel the guilt, and change their bad behavior. They would stop the flirting, set boundaries, or sit you down for a difficult, honest conversation. But a cheater takes the coward's way out. Instead of changing their destructive behavior, they change their reality. They begin a process of moral disengagement, systematically numbing their conscience and softening the edges of their actions, until the line of betrayal no longer even looks like a line. To pull this off, they construct a massive, invisible psychological fortress in their mind, something we call the two-box system. They literally split their reality into airtight, soundproof compartments. Box 1 contains the loyal, loving partner. It holds the version of them that remembers your anniversary, plays with the kids, goes to family dinners, and genuinely cares about your well-being. Box 2 contains the thrilling, secret, alternate ego. This box operates under entirely different rules, fueled by dopamine validation and selfishness. To maintain this fragile illusion, they spend an exhausting, incomprehensible amount of mental energy, making sure these two boxes never ever touch. They change contact names in their phone to sound like colleagues. They meticulously delete text threads in the driveway before walking inside, and they actively rewrite timelines in their own head to avoid feeling like a monster. This is the grand, devastating illusion that leaves so many betrayed partners feeling like they are losing their minds. They are not simply living a double life. Their very identity has become fractured. This is exactly why, when you eventually uncover the truth and their world comes crashing down, they can look at you with genuine tears streaming down their face and scream that they never stopped loving you. The most chilling truth of all is that, in that specific moment, they actually believe it. They believe it because, in their sick, compartmentalized mental architecture, their love for you was locked safely and securely inside Box 1, while their betrayal happened exclusively inside Box 2. The boxes never collided in their mind, so they honestly feel they preserved their love for you. When you truly grasp this, you realize that the first true step of their infidelity was not a physical action at all. It was a desperate, calculated mental rewrite of reality, a cowardly process of convincing themselves they were the neglected victim of circumstance, just so they could finally justify becoming the absolute villain in your life. But if constructing this fragile illusion is so exhausting, and every single relationship faces its own rough patches and temptations, why do only some people actually pull the trigger, and what terrifying reality unfolds when those two airtight boxes finally and violently collide? To answer that, we have to look past the desperate lies they tell you and examine the deeply flawed emotional blueprint they have carried inside them long before they ever met you. You see, a healthy mind views commitment as a safe harbor, but for someone operating with an avoidant attachment style, true emotional intimacy feels like suffocating. They desperately crave love and connection because they are terrified of being alone, but the second you get too close, the second they feel truly known and vulnerable, a primal panic sets in. For them, cheating is not about finding a better partner or discovering some grand romance. It is a twisted, subconscious escape hatch. It is a highly calculated survival mechanism that allows them to keep you anchored at home, so they never have to face their own agonizing loneliness, while simultaneously keeping a secret life on the side so they never have to feel trapped. When you combine this profound emotional avoidance with darker personality traits, like deep-seated narcissism or Machiavellian entitlement, the cocktail becomes lethal. Individuals high in these traits do not view other human beings as equals with fragile hearts. They view people as mirrors designed solely to reflect their own desirability, or as tools to be moved around a chessboard for their own personal gratification. They truly believe they are exceptional, that the standard rules of loyalty simply do not apply to them, and they become hopelessly addicted to the intoxicating dopamine spikes that only a secret, double life can provide. But no matter how perfectly they curate this double life, reality always catches up, and the inevitable climax arrives when the truth is finally dragged out of the dark. This is the moment you confront them, the exact moment those two carefully separated mental boxes violently smash into one another. You might reasonably expect them to drop to their knees, beg for forgiveness, and take absolute accountability for shattering your world. Instead, you witness something incredibly disturbing: a complete and total collapse of their fragile ego. Faced with the undeniable proof of their own cruelty, their brain triggers a desperate psychological defense mechanism known as the self-serving bias. They simply cannot afford to look in the mirror and accept that they are the villain of the story, so they instinctively project their overwhelming shame onto you. This is exactly why they resort to such agonizing psychological cruelty when caught. They will weaponize denial, looking you dead in the eye, and calling you paranoid or crazy for finding the evidence. If that fails, they will pivot to minimization, swearing up and down that it meant absolutely nothing, as if throwing away your trust was just a trivial clerical error. And when they are backed completely into a corner, they deploy the most devastating tactic of all: reversal. They will ruthlessly shift the blame, pointing a trembling finger at you, and claiming that you pushed them away, that you were always too busy, or that you were simply too difficult to love. They have to frantically paint you as the bad guy, because accepting the monstrous reality of what they have done would utterly destroy their carefully constructed self-image. This agonizing aftermath, the way they treat you when their back is against the wall, is the ultimate, clarifying answer you have been desperately searching for. It is the final piece of the puzzle that sets you free from the guilt. Their betrayal and the cruel, hollow excuses they hurl at you in the aftermath are absolutely not proof of your inadequacy. It is screaming, undeniable proof of their profound psychological deficiency. You were never lacking in beauty, worth, or value. You were simply collateral damage in a deeply broken person's desperate, lifelong war to protect their own fragile ego. Once you truly understand this framework, you can finally stop carrying the crushing burden of their shame and look at their cheating not as a reflection of what you did wrong, but as a tragic, transparent confession of exactly who they are. Stepping out from the crushing weight of their projected shame is a difficult journey, but you do not have to walk through that darkness alone. If unpacking this psychological architecture helped you untangle the cruel lies you were told, or if it allowed you to see even a small fragment of your own painful story with a little more clarity today, I am asking you to please hit the like button. I do not ask this for vanity. I ask because right now, there is someone else sitting awake in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling, utterly convinced that they are the reason the person they loved betrayed them. By interacting with this video, you tell the algorithm to push this message directly into their hands when they need it the absolute most. We can help them make sense of the heartbreak together and remind them that another person's brokenness is not their burden to bear. If you want to continue arming yourself with these deep, unapologetic dives into the shadows of human behavior, hit subscribe, because I promise you, the more clearly you understand exactly how these minds operate, the harder it becomes for anyone to ever play games with yours again. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.